I never thought I'd be telling this story. But here I am, Jordan Wells, sitting alone in a glass apartment overlooking Manhattan, a place that once felt impossibly far away. And today, I'm about to tell you how I built something revolutionary that is stolen right out from under me and then took it back in a way no one ever saw coming. It all started 4 years ago. Back in 2021, I was 26. Variation, fresh out of NYU with a master's in cybersecurity. Still green, but sharp, determined, and hungry to prove myself. I entered a world where women in tech were still a minority, getting and rarely taken seriously unless we made ourselves impossible to ignore. So that's what I set out to do. I landed a job at Chord Technologies, a decent-sized software company based in Brooklyn. Not flashy, not famous. They built secure systems for big corporate clients, but I didn't come there to play it safe. My boss, Cameron Rhodes, was one of those executives who hadn't touched code in a decade, but still somehow got his name on every breakthrough. Polished, charismatic, but everything about him said, if you shine too bright, I'll take your light. People warned me. I didn't listen. I was too focused on building something that would make people remember my name. And late one night, with nothing but cold coffee and too many tabs open, I finally did. Most nights I was the last one to leave the office. While others went home, I stayed, hunched over a flickering screen in my tiny corner cubicle, trying to solve problems no one else even saw. I wasn't fixing bugs or checking boxes. I was building something bigger than Chord could imagine. You see, most cybersecurity systems only react. They wait for something bad to happen, then they respond. But what if we could go further? What if we could predict an attack before it ever began? That was the idea behind Sentinel. Sentinel didn't just watch code. It studied behavior. It learned from human patterns, digital footprints, habits. It didn't just block threats, it anticipated them. Picture this: an AI that feels when something is wrong, like a sixth sense for the digital world. And one night, just before 2 a.m., it worked. The modem stabilized. The results were clean. The error logs, empty. I remember staring at the screen, frozen, and then suddenly crying. Not out of stress, not frustration, but pure, overwhelming relief. Still here, Miss Wells? Luis? The overnight security guard had poked his head in. Just working on something of my own, I'd say. Minimizing the window quickly, smiling. Because in this industry, silence is survival. I had seen it happen too many times. A young developer with a brilliant idea, quietly absorbed into company property. Their name gone. Their legacy erased. I wasn't going to let that happen. Sentinel was my and I would protect it, no matter what it took. For months, I kept Sentinel in the shadows, paid for my own servers, ran it on isolated networks, never let a single line of its code touch Core's mainframe. I wasn't just protecting an idea. I was protecting proof that it was mine. But one day, I slipped. It was during a strategy meeting. I mentioned a small concept, just a fragment of Sentinel's early framework, just enough to spark conversation, and unfortunately, just enough to catch Cameron's attention. His eyes lit up like a man who'd just struck oil. This is what our clients need, he said. 2 months later, Sentinel, or a watered-down, poorly repackaged version of it, was being unveiled at a high-profitable investor launch. My name? Nowhere in sight. I wasn't even on the guest list. But what Cameron didn't know was that I had already filed for a patent. 6 months earlier, I'd set up an LLC, secured the legal rights. Even the code he accessed was watermarked, time-stamped, traceable. The night of that launch party, just before his demo began, the giant screens flickered, and a message appeared across every display. Unauthorized use detected. Property of Wells Technologies. The silence in that ballroom. I imagine it was deafening. By the next morning, Cameron wasn't trending for his breakthrough. It was. I walked into the office the next morning like any other day, coffee in hand, eyes a little tired, but heart full of hope. I had shown Cameron the real Sentinel, the working engine, the future. I think we were on the verge of something incredible. Instead, my login didn't work. Access denied. I tried again, same result. Then my phone buzzed. An email from HR. Please report to the 14th floor conference room immediately. I didn't panic, not yet. When I arrived, Cameron was already there. So was Susan from HR. And 2 security guards. On the table, a thick folder with my name on it. Jordan, Cameron began, voice calm, too calm. We've completed an internal review. He flipped open the folder. Bird. Ooh. It appears you violated your employment contract by developing a competing product using company resources. I blinked. What? That's not true. I built Sentinel on my own time, on my own machines. I can prove it. He didn't flinch. We found files on your workstation, he said, smiling like a man holding loaded dice. I never uploaded anything to Titan Core, I said. If it's on your servers, then you put it there. We have all we need, Susan cut in. You're being terminated for cause. No severance. Legal will be in touch. My stomach dropped. Not from fear. From the realization. He baited me. He had asked for clean files, remember? Just to review, he said. And I sent them. Trusting. Hopeful. He'd used my own trust to frame me. He thought it was over. He was wrong. I walked out of Titan Core with nothing but my coat and my comm. No tears. No begging. No dramatic exit. Just one thought in my head. He doesn't know what he's dealing with. Because hidden deep inside Sentinel's code was a protocol. See silent watchdog. Designed to activate 30 days after any unauthorized access or modification. Not to destroy, not to crash the system, but to expose. That day, I turned my apartment into a war room. With screens. One streamed industry news. One tracked Titan Core's development logs through unsecured channels. And the last? It showed Sentinel's diagnostic pings, real-time indicators that the system was under attack from the inside. They were trying to reverse engineer my code. Rename functions, rewrite history. And every time they touched something they didn't understand, Sentinel sent me a ping. He breadcrumbed. I didn't even have to hack them. They were broadcasting their mistakes directly to me. Marcus, my old classmate and now an engineer at Titan Core, messaged me. Cameron's cracking. He's pushing the team 16-hour days. They're breaking more than they're fixing. Good. Meanwhile, Sarah from legal reached out again. Jordan, I've found more, she wrote. Forwards timestamps. Internal memos, Cameron drafted them after your demo, pretending he created Sentinel. I told her to be careful. She was walking a dangerous line. But me, I was exactly where I needed to be. Watching, waiting, and letting Sentinel do what it was built to do. 30 days. That's how long the failsafe needed. That's how long I had to wait. Titan Core announced a massive launch event. Media, investors, government security reps, all invited. The hype was intense. The headlines? Glowing. Titan Core unveils revolutionary AI security. Cameron Rhodes leads next-gen cybersecurity. If I hadn't been so angry, I might have laughed. But I wasn't laughing. I was watching. Each night, Sentinel's signals grew more intense. The god was resisting, learning, evolving. Cameron thought he owned Sentinel. He didn't realize he was only seeing the sandbox version. A stripped-down shell I showed him in the boardroom. The real Sentinel? Fully encrypted, self-aware, designed to reveal truth, not obey theft. 3 days before the launch, I got an email. But let's talk. We may have acted hastily, interested in a consulting role. I didn't know. A day later, they doubled the offer. 7 figures. And D attached. Path to return, they said. Still, I said nothing. Because silence speaks louder than anything when you know the storm is coming. And Cameron? He had no idea that his big moment, the crowd, the cameras, the flashing lights, were just stage lights on a trap. The day of the launch dawned clear and crisp over Manhattan. I sat at my desk, coffee in hand, watching the live stream from my apartment. The venue, lavish. Polished floors, towering LED screens. Cameron, in a navy suit that screamed, CEO of the Year. The Sentinel logo? Slick, over-designed. A corporate rebranding of what I once scribbled in a notebook. But I wasn't bitter. I was focused. At 2:15 p.m., Cameron stepped behind the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, he said, voice smooth as ever. Today, Titan Core redefines the future of cybersecurity. The room clapped. Journalists typed. Investors leaned forward. My eyes locked on the countdown timer. 15 minutes? That he launched a mock cyber attack simulation. Sentinel responded smoothly, just as I trained it to. The crowd murmured in awe. 10 minutes? Now, Cameron said proudly, you'll witness Sentinel's true genius, live adaptive learning. He ran a second simulation. 5 minutes. And then, on cue, a small window appeared on screen. System alert, core integrity scan engaged. Cameron paused, tried to minimize it, failed. The lights dimmed. The giant screens flickered. Lines of code cascaded like rain. 2:30 p.m. On the dot. And then a voice filled the hall. My voice. Digitally processed, calm, undeniable. Uninformed modifications detected. Cameron froze. He typed. Command after command. Access denied. The screens changed. Live logs appeared. User IDs. Commit histories. J. Wells, original developer. Unauthorized access. Gasps echoed through the room. The code comparisons appeared side by side. One side, clean, elegant architecture. My work. The other. Messy edits. Clumsy rewrites. Theirs. Emails surfaced on screen. NDAs, forged memos, even threats Cameron had sent. Security footage showed me working late nights. Server logs. Patent documents. And then came the final slide. Sentinel AI, created by Jordan Wells, patent pending. The hall erupted. Cameron stammered. There's been a misunderstanding. Sentinel cut him off. Foul clue detected. I leaned back in my chair and smiled. That same evening, Titan Core's board held an emergency session. Cameron, escorted out of the building. Badge deactivated. A line of reporters waiting for him downstairs. The offer came quickly. Full legal ownership of Sentinel. A hefty settlement. And, get this, a CTO position with a 7-figure salary. I didn't even hesitate. I had turned it all down because someone else had reached out. Linda Chin, CEO of Viridian Secure, John of Five Direct. And, unlike Cameron, she didn't want to own Sentinel. She wanted to build with it. With me, her author. A new division under Viridian. Complete creative and ethical control. Ownership stake. No politics, no compromise. Just vision and respect. That's what I chose. Today, Sentinel is the global standard in AI cybersecurity. Trusted by governments. Defending hospitals, financial institutions, nonprofits. Not just stopping hackers, but rooting out corruption. Protecting truth from the inside out. And its core protocol? It's still untouched. Expose deception, protect truth. Sometimes, I sit in my new corner office, looking out over the same skyline where this story began, and I think about that day, the launch, The chaos. The look in Cameron's eyes when the system turned on him. He thought he was stealing code, but what he triggered was the most advanced truth detection protocol ever built. Here's the irony. If he had just been honest, if he'd treated me with respect, I might have welcomed his help. But he chose ego. He chose deception. And in doing so, he armed my creation against himself. Sentinel doesn't just protect networks. It protects integrity. It's being used now not just to stop hackers, but to flag internal fraud, expose fake data, and make sure credit goes to the people who earned it. And every time it catches someone trying to take credit for someone else's work, I smile. If you've made it this far, thank you. This wasn't just a story about stolen code. It was about not letting yourself be erased, about standing your ground, even when no one else will. If you've ever been overlooked, underestimated, or told to stay quiet, let me say this clearly. You matter. Your work matters. Your voice matters. So keep going. Keep building, even if no one sees it yet. Because one day, they won't just see what you built, they'll feel what you stood for. And if this story spoke to you, leave a comment, share your story, or just one word. And if you want more stories like this, hit subscribe. We're just getting started.